Welcome to Connecting Greeks, a streaming comedy show and podcast designed to explore and enhance Greek culture around the world. Join hosts Angelo, Adi, and Foti as they bring you fun and interesting guests from all walks of Greek life. Grab a cafedaki and join us.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us once again on the Connecting Greeks show. I am Ari Kalos, coming to you from D.C., the land of new presidents. We want to say hello and welcome to the new president. We wish him well. We hope the best for everybody in this country. And, you know, whether we talk about this or not, I don't know, but we'll leave it at that. And with me, as always, is Foti Stamos up in Boston. Hi, Foti.
Yasuari. Congratulations.
On
having a new president.
Oh, thank you. It's all me. But I just want to say, the guy that I'm here to talk to right now, because I missed him since last week, he's out in L.A., he's locked down, he's going crazy. We're going to unleash him right now onto the show. Angelo Tsaroukas. What's up, Angelo?
Hello, gentlemen. Hello, Adi. Hello,
Angelo.
Foti. Good to see your smiling faces as always, guys. Ari, are you in D.C.? You're in D.C.
I'm in D.C.
Foti's in Boston. I'm in L.A. Yes, I echo your sentiments. Συγχαρητήρια στο καινούριο πρόεδρο της Αμερικής, R. Biden, Siniatu. We wish him nothing but success. And Kamala Harris, Californian, we wish them all the best. We really do. We hope they do I know they're going to do a good job. And
can I make an addition? Can I make an addition to that?
Yeah, sure.
From Boston, we want to also congratulate our mayor, Marty Walsh, was appointed by Mr. Biden to join his cabinet. So he's leaving Boston.
Yeah, he's a Secretary of Labor or something, right?
Technically, yeah. So we want to also acknowledge that.
Great.
And that's great. So look, we wish them all the best. We always want the president and the vice president and the new administration to do a great job, because ultimately it affects all of us and makes our lives better. And I'm sure they're going to make our lives better.
I sure hope so.
We'll leave it at that. I know they're going to do a better job.
but speaking of great and better, we have an awesome guest today.
Yes, we
do. Tell us a little bit, Angelo.
Yes, I'm very happy. This woman is a dear friend of mine. I met her here in Los Angeles, where she resides. She is a very smart businesswoman, and she got into something that I thought was interesting. She is the CEO of Power Muse Productions.
Oh, wow.
Which brings some of the best, and I mean the best, Greek entertainers in the world to the West Coast.
Awesome.
Vegas, Sacramento, San Francisco, and of course, Los Angeles, among other places. She is, I like to call her the connecting rod, because, and then we'll get into it when we talk to her. She connects people, and that's why I thought,
how appropriate.
She'd be the perfect guest for our show. She's lovely. She's beautiful. I like to now welcome to Connecting Greeks, Empresario Dena Romios. Welcome, Dena Romios.
Yasu Dena.
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for being here, Dena. It's a special day today, Dena. You heard earlier, we have a new president today. So what better way to bring you on the show? And we have a new president. You're a president. He's a president. That's good. Well, you're Dena. As you know, we're Los Angelinos. We live in La La Land. And
I live in Athens.
And I'll say this: today was 77 Fahrenheit. Today, I say Fahrenheit because I know the Canadians get confused.
So what would that be in Celsius, Angelo?
About 25.
All right, good.
Celsius, which is like a heat wave in Montreal.
Well, look, there's only like 4 countries on the planet, or 3, that use the Fahrenheit. and the non-metric system.
But what are the other 2 countries?
I don't know. They're like small, whatever countries, but it's like, why? Maybe with this new administration, we'll get to the metric system now.
It's Celsius.
Don't do that to us. Don't change that on us right now. No way.
No.
Oh, so this is interesting. And, when we were always looking for guests, I had always had in the back of my mind Dena, because it's interesting. And now I think in a business, now I'm going to say this. I think right now, when you look at the 2 genders, and I'll make this male and female, I think the mayor of Athens is this woman, and Greek women get shit done. And Dena is in that category for me, because I've actually been on one of her productions, and I want her to tell us, first of all, explain. So Dena, in May of 2012, something happened. Something happened that gave you this idea, or maybe a little bit before then. Tell us what it was that, and how you got into this business, because this is not an easy business. It's not.
It's not. Well, I kind of have like a little bit of a Cinderella story, only because October of 2011, I was in a show in Chicago as an attendee, and my mom hates this part of the story. I went outside to smoke a cigarette, and I know I do that. Anyway, and being from California, us women here, we go bare-legged. We don't wear pantyhose, we don't wear tights, we don't wear anything like that, because October, it's beautiful here. And I was outside having a cigarette, and it was cold, and I was a little tipsy, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cold. My God, I was like pissed because it was cold, because I didn't have a jacket because I'm from California. I didn't think it'd be that cold. And this guy walks up to me and he goes, what's your problem? And I'm like, dude, it's cold. And he goes, well, don't you know? I'm like, no, man, I'm from LA. He's like, well, what are you doing here? I said, I came to see the show. And he's like, well, why don't you see the show in LA? I'm like, because they don't come to LA. And he's like, well, why don't you do it? I'm like, okay. And in essence, that's how it happened. And then he introduced me to, Nick Andriopoulos. It was Nick Andriopoulos' show,
Nick Andriopoulos, good friend of ours, super guy.
And it was his show, and he told the gentleman, he goes, Vangeli, this is my friend Dena from LA. We should get her to do shows too. And Vangeli's like, yeah, I'm just talking to her about that. I'm like thinking, okay, so and then the next day we had a meeting, and then in the following May, I did my first show with Yannis Plutarchos, which was amazing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I was very fortunate.
So,
Dena, twins, but that's the gist of it.
So let me ask you a question. Prior to this unique circumstance, were you ever involved in entertainment and event planning?
I did host a couple of Greek school Themata events.
Perfect. Wow. That's it. You're qualified. If you can nail down Greek school plays, you can do anything.
Well, it was interesting because my parents were very involved with a lot of the Silogous here. We're from Tripoli, and my parents were involved in Pan-Arcadians, and I had hosted a couple of events, planned a few weddings for friends and what have you, festival committees. And so I knew a lot of people. I had some really good organizational skills, and by sheer luck, I was very, very lucky to have my first show with the amazing, Plutarchos. And
that's really
cool.
Talk about jumping in. Plutarchos is a superstar.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to meet him a few times, even did an event in Canada with him once, amongst other things. It's interesting to me because you go to see a show in Chicago, which was Plutarchos, right? Is that the show you saw?
No, it wasn't. It was Eli Kokinu, Despina Vandi, and Kostas Karafotis.
Wow. I know the show.
When was this?
It was October of 2011.
That's right, because I opened for them in Toronto. I was doing a promo, and I'm going to tell you a funny story, Dena. I'm a big Despina Vandi fan.
I know. You shared that.
and I said, so I am with my wife, my second wife, Alina, but I call her the first wife I've had the pleasure of working with some of the biggest names in Hollywood and film and television, whatever. Let me tell you, I was giddy when I met Vandi. So my Cubano Nico was there, my brand new wife, Alina, and me, and we're backstage, and I got excited. And then I said, I met Van D, nice to meet you. This and that. She goes, I know who you are. I've heard some of your stuff. And then I introduced my wife as her name, and then 3 times made a reference to my ex-wife's name.
I've heard.
Describing her. And my Cubaro's looking at me like, "Guys, Malaka." I go, "What?" So I was too excited. And this is Despina. And I thought to myself, and then my wife goes, "Did you have it?" And my Cubaro goes, "You said it." She's giving me the finger right now because she's right here off camera. And my Cubaro says, "Ange, you said your ex-wife's name 3 times when you were looking at your actual wife." I go, "You were too excited." I go, "No, I didn't." He goes, "Yeah, you did." So I'm adding to that, which is great. And so the thing is, Dena, so I mean, when you think of Greek shows population-wise, and that's what I wanted you today to impress that on people, because when you think of Greek populations in the world, you think of Melbourne, Sydney, New York, Chicago, Montreal, Toronto, Boston, London, Johannesburg, places like that. And people don't realize that we have a huge Greek population also in California. The difference here, though, I find, and that's what I want to ask you guys, it's not really concentrated here in California, especially in Los Angeles or LA County, which is 19 million people. It's spread out. So we don't really have, we have St. Sophia Church and Papa Christos across the street, and we have Greek restaurants. So the thing is that when I first moved here, I realized, unlike Toronto, where you have the Danforth, or Astoria in New York, or in Chicago, I started to learn that, a lot of people move to California to get away from those Greeks, I think, and come here. But it's interesting because I remember when I first met you, and I remember you were doing the shows, and I thought, wow, this is cool. And you've done some, we're going to get to that. You've done some you've had shows at some of the most prominent theaters in Los Angeles that the whole world knows. And there's one concert in specific we're going to talk about. Let me ask you, for because as a California person, compared to the rest of it, because they always ask me, what do you find? Because I know you go see shows elsewhere. What do you find is the difference with maybe the mentality of how Greeks are in, let's say, California as compared to the rest of America?
Well, I think because, like you said, geographically we are so spread out, it's a little bit harder. However, I think also because we are spread out, people long to want to be together. So that's why when you have like Greek events, whether it's our shows or even a Greek festival, I remember when we were kids, our parents would take us to Greek festivals all over the place only because we longed for that Greekness, because we didn't have going down to the Danforth to King Gyros to get a gyro after school with our friends, or in Astoria or anything like that. So you have I don't know if it's nostalgia or the pathos of people wanting to be connected to their roots. So people do make, I believe, the extra effort to be there, but it requires a lot of hustle on our part to inform. And thank God now with social media and all that, whereas before, I remember my predecessors, we would get postcards once a year, like so-and-so's coming to LA. And my parents, oh my God, we have to go. It's a Greek show. I remember, I think it was like 83 or 84. Sotos Kapas was doing shows at the Pasadena, literally a couple thousand people. And it's like, looking back now without social media, and how the heck did he do that? That's impressive. Right. And I respect, Sotos is actually a very good friend, and I do respect him. So shout out to Sotos for, laying the groundwork for people like me who love our culture to be able to do what I really, really love to do. But
yeah, because you're doing a great service by this, because we wouldn't get those shows here, and you brought some whoppers or some big ones, man. I mean,
I'm blessed.
And I'll dive into it. I'm going to use one example. There's only one of them. It was Marinella and Ramos, that tour. And it was at I keep saying the Vogue Theater. It wasn't the Vogue.
The Orpheum.
The Orpheum Theater in downtown LA. And Dena says, "Hey, Ange, how about you come on and open the show for them?" It was me and this opera singer, which I thought was great because, Dena's taking out of the box. We did it. And it was a phenomenal night. The show was, excuse my language, fucking killer, man. It was great. And my mom came from Montreal. So I did bring your mom. I brought my wife, myself. And I got to tell you, it's like that theater is phenomenal. and the show that you put on, everybody that went to that show loved it. And I said to myself, I go, you got these, well, Marinella, who's a legend, and then you got Ramos, who is phenomenal. He's
and
not
Angelo.
And Angelo, and it worked well. And I got your Cubana Poppy I got to give her a shout out. Poppy Athanas took one of the best pictures anyone has ever taken of me on stage with the lights. When I went on stage, she took a picture of me as I'm doing an action, and with the lights on, and I look like Jesus Christ Superstar. I kid you not, the best photos. And I've praised her since for it. But the thing is that, it takes to bring acts like this. And you were really, in the last 10 years, you're the person that thinks that, because these shows, Dena, they're not cheap,
well,
right?
They're not. Here's the thing. I mean,
there's risk involved too. From my
there is risk. I mean, Angelo knows we took a hit last year with the show that ended up getting canceled the night before because of a visa issue. We won't even talk about that, but there is risks. And, when you're you put up your own, not just your own money up and stuff. And I've been so lucky, because one thing that I find that now, being in the business, Dora, it's 8 years, 8.5 years. I'm very lucky that people actually trust what I do. They know I'm not going to rip them off. And then I've also established a beautiful relationship with the artists that I work with. They know that we're not going to rip them off either. So there's a confidence in there that, like, for example, if I can't pay for the show up front, like, I'll pay them when they get here before they go on stage or something like that. There's flexibility based upon the trust that we have and the respect we have for each other. Our customers have been great. Some of them will pay us like the night of the show because I trust them. They know, it's a good relationship.
That's a very Greek way of still doing business. I like that. Because, Greeks, we have philotimo when it comes to that. For the most part, I want to say we do.
Angela, when you say doing business as a Greek, so Dena, did you have to like walk around with a suitcase full of cash?
No. Gyros. We pay in gyros.
Now, Dena, let me ask you. The advantage, I also know, and I know this for a fact, because you are in Los Angeles.
Yes.
All the Greek singers, the ones I've talked to, they all want to come to LA and Vegas. They do. And I know it's a stigma thing. If you're in the entertainment business, and I know this because I'll give you an example once, and I think you were there, Dena, at St. Sophia, they have the Panigiri. Now they moved it to September or October.
Yeah.
We didn't have it last year. And before it used to be, I want to say maybe August. I can't remember. It was summertime. And we're at the Panigiri, and on playback, there's Petrelli singing with Father John and those guys. And the guy goes, my friend who's not Greek goes, is that guy big? I go, dude, guy's huge. We were shocked. But, Petrelli came and did it as a promo favor to St. Sophia.
Yeah.
Do you find does it also help that a lot of the artists, especially from Greece, because, they want to perform in Los Angeles. It's not because they don't have an audience or that you don't do a good job, but do you find it's also an easier sell because it is Hollywood?
Well, here's the difference. We have, as you know, I have associates throughout the whole country that do shows. Some of them own their own venues, some rent like I do, and in Canada. Being that we are in Los Angeles and in the entertainment capital of the world, we are so lucky that we have the option here to be able to get these amazing venues. Since you said Thano, we had done Thanos Petrellis at the Wiltern, which was huge for a Greek artist to perform at the Wiltern at the time. Then we had, which was another that was a historic event, and then we did Adipa at the Fonda, and then the following weeks the Rolling Stones were playing there. He was just like, "Oh my God, like how cool!"
Right. I remember that Adipas was at the Fonda, and then the Stones filmed their thing there.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. These artists, I think, realize the stages they're on.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I remember when Marinela walked into the Orpheum, it's like, Inet Romero, and I'm like, Sasaresi. She goes, Tina mi Mulene Fantastico. Ramos was the same way. They appreciate the extra effort that we put in being able to take them to, and unfortunately for other cities, they can't because they don't have the luxury of being in LA like we do.
Right.
But my first two shows, I did them in one was at the Pacific Palms, and then the other one was at the Bonaventure at the banquet halls. And Chewy started working with me, and he's like, no. He goes, no more banquet halls. We're going to performance venues. I'm like, okay. And I didn't know, but because Chewy had worked in Hollywood, he was more familiar with these venues and stuff. And then, then we decided let's branch out to Vegas. His shows in Vegas. We sold out. Our first show was once again with Yanis Plutarchos, and we did it in an outdoor venue. Then we sold out the Hard Rock with Tsalikis in Vegas. I mean, we've been so fortunate that we've been able to play at these amazing venues. Last year, when I don't know if I'm ever going to exceed this. I mean, I get excited.
That's what I want you to get to, and that's the one I'm waiting for you to tell us.
We had Nikos Vertis, and I partnered with an amazing Israeli producer, Moshe Noi, who has been in the business for many years. Like, the guy is top notch, and we like.
Well, guys, the Dolby Theater is where the Oscars are.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Right in Hollywood and Highland. That's the Dolby. It used to be called the Kodak, and now it's the Dolby.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So that's where they do the Oscars. And Dena did the show with Vertis, and I wanted to go. What's that, Ari?
I said Moshe Noi was my partner in that one. I don't want to take the full credit for that. I have to get
with it, but still. So I mean, to do the Dolby Theater where they do the Oscars. So the thing is, and I know this as an artist. That other people, other Greek singers are like, man, I want to do the Dolby because Nikos Vertis did it. But Vertis is top of the game, right? And they went and they did it there. And I think I heard Ramos say this. I think you may have told me this too, Dena, that the singers, I mean, with Greek music, you got different, I'll say different style, meaning you got the ones that go to the shows and they want to dance. Like that's why they want like the cabaret or the banquet halls, and you call it, But then most of the singers, though, they want like a Orpheum or a Fonda or a Dolby because they want to perform. Like that's what they want, right? And then
a lot of them, it's interesting. A lot of them don't mind the bouzouki style because hey, that's what they do. Right. But given an opportunity to actually, like Ramos was just like, I love performing. I'm like, you perform all the time. And he's like, no, it was different, and he's like, I got to perform. And like, he felt like he changed it up a lot. He did a Zebekiko on stage. Ramos doesn't dance. It was like everybody, it was amazing. And Vertis is, he's huge about performing. And he was another one who, he brought his mother from Greece so she could witness him playing at the Dolby. Like, come on, like that was awesome, you know.
Wow.
But you see, Dena, that's I think the cachet that you and Power Muse and Chewy's her partner, and a super nice guy. And I can see his picture, but we don't want him to talk because this is about Dena, not him. But I love Chewy. And Chewy's like, he's a Latino who speaks perfect Greek, so it's mind blowing.
Wow.
But at the same time, but the best part of it is though, it's not just we see Dena. You have that ability because I'll say it as actors or comedians or singers, you're also dealing with an abstract personality. There are divas and there are artists, and I hate to say it, and I don't know if you ever worked with them, but I know like Notis Sfaganaki, notorious diva, and we're not talking crap about him, but I've worked with actors that would have a hissy fit and stay in their trailer for 3 hours. And I'm not asking for that, but you have that personality that can deal with it. And I've seen it where if you want to go for sushi, you're taking them out for sushi. If they want to go to In-N-Out Burger, you take them out to In-N-Out Burger. You know what I mean? I want to go to Mini Golf. You're accommodating that way. And I think that reputation that you've earned for yourself, it makes these guys want to come, women and men, make them want to come in your company. True or false?
Well, honestly, we are known for our hospitality. We are also, like we said, with the venues, known to tailoring the artist to an appropriate venue. One thing that I had learned at one time in the beginning, Vageli Ganopoulos, my mentor, told me one thing, and he says, the artists are all great, mule, nyahara, amates na isomos kali, tapos sexist banda, itus technicus. And I'm like, mayati. And he goes, afti tafgalon diduya. And I'm like, okay. So Chewy and I work really well together in this sense because Chewy is, first of all, the bands all love the fact that they have this Mexican man who speaks Greek and knows the ins and out of every good restaurant in LA, Hollywood, Las Vegas, or anywhere. So Chewy usually rents a van, takes the band out, and tourism, hola. So we like to cater to them. But here's the thing, I've learned that they're normal. They're normal people. The Greek artists, they need fadas menos, as you would think. One of my favorite memories is I went to Target with Marinella, not to say that. No joke.
That's hilarious, dude.
I wanted so badly to be that person, like smile Marinella at the, but I couldn't do that because I didn't want to be a zon. But I did that. I was like, woohoo, it was cool.
But that's good though, because it's also showing you. Well, look, I think as a Greek artist, your head can only get swollen so much. Our culture is like that. We idolize and praise our kalitechni and our artists, but at the same time, katevaligo. You got to be at the Greeks. They don't. I've noticed they don't like it below or above, but at the same time, like you said, you took Marinella to Target, and she was probably happy just to go to.
It's I think a lot of it has to do also, like you said something earlier about the population of Los Angeles. Population of Los Angeles is pretty much like the population of Greece.
Double.
So think about that for a minute. So in Greece, they're big fish, small pond, whereas here they're just average. And then if you take into consideration the Greek population of our city, well, they're not going to be those people,
right?
And Greeks, I remember one artist that came to a show. I had Chewy had known her brother in Greece. It was Melina Macri, and because she knew I was from Tripoli and she knew I hadn't gone back to Greece, she brought me a little package of trachana from Tripoli as a care, and I thought that was cool. It was like they're normal people in the way we are.
That's nice.
Saki is leaving.
Saki has a meeting, he said, so he has to go. Bye, Saki. Thanks for being
Saki.
Now
he called in from Korea.
From Korea, that's pretty cool. Look at you connecting now. Let's get to the connecting part for a second. I like this story. And he's been a guest on our show, and he's a good friend of all ours. A Canadian artist, which makes him a quality artist. But Pavlo, who is one of the best guitarists, and if you heard his music, you're gonna fall in love with him. You were able to put a show together with Plutarchos, and then you had Pablo as a special guest. And Pablo had done a lot of shows in LA with our friend Danny, who he did a lot of shows and other things. And how were you able to how did it work? How did you, Plutarcho and Pablo, somewhere in Greece? You were in Greece, right?
Okay. So Yanni has become a very good family friend of ours, of mine and Chewy's, and it's really cute whenever we go to Greece. I don't like to bother the artists that I work with, but there are a few who find out we're there and they'll call, hey, let's make some fayitol. And it was funny that you said sushi because we had taken sushi here. He wanted to take us to sushi in Athens. So, over the course of having cafe and stuff like that, he goes, you guys, I would love to do something different, type of a collaboration. And we were thinking, and Chewy goes, I have the perfect, this was all Chewy's idea, by the way. He goes, I have the perfect person for you. And he's in Greece right now. They're like, wait, what? So he goes, let's get together, look at him. I'll talk to Pablo. And they met. They hit it off really, really well. They wrote songs together. which they debuted the one at our show here in Los Angeles.
At the Ford Amphitheater, which is an awesome theater. Yes.
Yeah. So we have this, I mean, Chewy and I have this thing that we like to, we think outside the box. And Yanni loves the guitar. He plays himself, Dora. And it was one of those things, their personalities worked really well together. And like, who would have thought, but it worked. And it was beautiful. And they have a beautiful friendship now too.
Now,
Yeah.
Dena, let me ask you, in LA, and this is an interesting connection to make. You know, my wife's Armenian. It's the biggest Armenian population outside of Armenia. And guess what? They love Greek music. Like they really love it. So thank God. And I think that's a big component with your shows.
Yes.
Because I know that Armenian people love Greek music. They love it, maybe more than we do. I mean, it's on that note. And I'm glad because that also helps sell tickets. And then my wife's Armenian cousin called me going, Nikos Vertis is coming to Dolby. He knew about it before I did. And I thought, yeah, man. He goes, we're going to get tickets. I go, bravo, you should. It's going to be great.
It's Dena show, you better.
I miss half these shows because I'm out
working.
Doing whatever. When I had a job, I don't have one anymore.
I don't either.
Now that we can watch your shows, I'm. But the thing, do you find now? Let me ask you: when the artist comes to town, because you have a family, how do you balance it? Because it's hectic. You got to get them at the airport, hotel, sound check. Do you find how many hours are you sleeping? When you have, I'll call it your client, because it's like your client. You're bringing an artist. How is it?
It depends.
Schedule?
It depends. Usually they come a day or two before, which makes it a lot easier. Like I said earlier, Chewy does a lot of the legwork. He helps so much, especially in the hospitality factor. My son's older now. Alexandro now is 20 years old.
Wow,
so
you got big, yeah.
So he helps too now. Everybody, we are a family business. Like you said earlier, Michael Bada, takes pictures. My son puts the wristbands on. Chewy runs around. I don't do the sound checks anymore because, Chewy goes. We have the family, everybody gets, when it's before a show, the family gets together. We cut flowers for Bazooka style. I mean, everybody, it's 3 to 4 days of crazy. But everybody's into it. Everybody pulls together. Tensions get high at times, but for the most part, I'm lucky. My family's me, and they know that I love what I do.
Bravo.
So, I mean, I really, 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 I love this, and I love that I'm able to bring our culture here. I love that we've had some amazing shows. I love that. My Greek has gotten better as a result of it. My mom, when she's in town, she'll come to a show and she'll be like, oh, kita, prosek se kipera, ta foto kipera. And I'm like, since when?
Being a mom.
My mom's awesome. So
she's a very nice lady. She's a big fan of mine, so I love her. When I met your mom at the show, she came up to me. Bravo,
mother.
Your mother is a very intelligent, recognizes good talent, like her daughter. Tomilo, pupefti Tomilo. But it's interesting, Dena, because when you're putting shows on like this, and I know working with Greeks, and I'll say this about Greeks, not criticism. It happens to me a lot of times. The show can be sold out, and Greeks will call you the day of. They want front row seat, right? And I know this is ridiculous. I've had people. What happened? People will call me to call Dena, and they'll be like, "Hey, Plutarcho, or let's say Verti, or somebody." And they're like, "Hey, I know you're buds with Dena. Can you make a call for me?" Because I don't go. Wait a second. When's the concert? Oh, Avrio. I'm like, I know it's sold out, right, or whatever. But sometimes they have like artist hold. And I always say to them, and this happens to me too, where I say, look, maybe there's artists like my friend Phil, who's Lebanese. When you brought Kara, I think there was a cancellation. Remember this? And Phil goes, I really want to see it. I go, hold on, I'll call Dena. And she goes, you're lucky. There's been one cancellation right in the front.
2 seats.
Phil, remember that? You remember with Karas, and I think it was at Pasadena, was it?
No, it was in downtown LA.
Downtown LA. And it was I had to go to like New York. I wanted to be at that show because I'm a huge Kara fan. I love his attitude, you know.
Well, you imitate him so well.
And I do when I do him in the act. But I have to tell you, and Phil said to me, he goes, man, he goes, Dena hooked us up, front row. And then he goes, it was great. I said, well, Phil, honestly, it was yes, but at the same time, it was luck. And maybe because I said, no, he goes, she did it because it was you. And I'm like, no. She goes, no, I know. So there is a bit of mess on sometimes, but honestly, I know because I know for a fact that sometimes the shows are really sold out. Like there's no seats.
Right.
And then Greeks, and I don't understand. This happens even in comedy and everything. They will wait till the last minute. And I'm thinking, if an artist like that is coming to LA or Vancouver or wherever, you got to get your tickets ahead of time. And I know maybe in Boston it's happened to me too, where we sold out the last time I was in Boston, and people are DMing me on Facebook. I go, I can't do it.
Well, here's the thing. Sometimes Greek people have the mentality, oh, if I wait the last minute, they're not going to be sold out. I'll get it at a discount.
Right. No.
It doesn't work that way.
You got to pay those guys. And I don't like that.
I don't either because...
And let me tell you, Dena...
We don't do discount. I mean, this is how, excuse me for interrupting. I'm
sure.
all for, I'll give tickets away to charities for them to sell, to raffle, for whatever. But you come to me, like, for a discount, the only person that gets a discount at my show is my mother. And even then, she tries giving Katosarika to Alexandro. But you know what I mean? It's like, no, in order for us to be able to do what we do, we have to have integrity for our business. I've heard it, oh, well, if we waited the last minute, we shouldn't have waited. I'm like, no, you shouldn't have waited. I'm sorry. We sold like 800 tickets, I think, for Nikos Vertis the first day. And then you coming 2 nights before the show, hey, Dena, can I have a front row seat?
It's gone.
Vertis
at the Dolby Theater.
Buzuka is a little different. You can kind of put a chair here, put a chair there. But a theater,
If I can just say that what you're saying, Dena, is most folks don't realize the work that's involved, that goes on behind things together. And for the work that's involved, there's no reason to discount based on what you're bringing to.
Exactly. Sometimes, like, when we do orthotica shows, because we've done theater, we've done buzuka, we've done for a standing show. We'll do a pre-sale just because I don't have to sign. So we usually work with Ticketmaster and those types of things. So they have like an early bird special. So for 10 days, they'll get like, I think $10 or $15 off a general admission ticket. That's easy because I don't have to, and for those types of shows, sure, why not? We like to give back whenever we can, but to expect like an after Christmas sale, okay, come back tomorrow after the show, I'll give it to you for half off. Show's over. Couple sets. It doesn't work that way. Yeah.
You can give them a discount after the show's over.
Exactly. They can watch it on Connecting Greeks.
I want to bring something up here. We've been in a pandemic and there's been no shows for anybody. Like nobody's doing shows. Very places left in America. Here's my concern as a performer, and I'm sure it's the same for many people, is that the recovery plus the finances. So do you think that when you're talking to your partner, promoters and the agent or Australia or wherever, are they cognizant and aware that it may not be like, I know I've heard things like certain bands, Joe Walsh, whatever, that they realize even when they come back, they may have to scale it down because I think, for some people haven't been able to pay rent or their mortgage for a year. So I think it's the same in comedy. Do you find, Dena, like what's the buzz around that? Are they cognizant or aware of it that maybe, certain artists, which I know charge more money, but if they're doing a tour, like if as soon as, let's say we get the vaccine going and things start going back to normal, do you, as a person who does these events, do you think it's going to be right away back to the way ticket sales or prices were, or are we going to have to ease back into that on both sides?
I think artists are very aware that they're not going to expect to, they're not going to be able to charge for charging only because, for example, I would love to be able to put 2,500 people in the Dolby tomorrow night to do a show, but I can't.
Right.
It's not going to happen. So if I can't put in, not just me, if anybody can't put in those numbers to fill those seats, the expenses are everything has to be relevant. It's going to have to go together. Now, some consumers are going to be able to afford to pay what they did before, some are not. We've always taken the position that we want anybody and everybody to be able to attend our shows. We've always had tickets even for $50,
That's
let
true.
them come. For $50, are you going to be Proto Trapezi Pista with Angelo? Probably not. But I don't know. I mean, there's so much in the air. We don't even know, are Greek artists going to be able to fly in?
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to be insured?
Right. These are things that people don't realize.
No, it's going to
deal with insurance.
There's going to be a lot of different variables for us to consider, God willing, when we come back to production. I just hope that everybody on all sides, whether it's our team, the artist team, or consumer, I just hope that everybody's going to be understanding and take the current situation for what it's worth. And, I don't want somebody yelling at me, Mori, you must have said, "Ikame pandemic, when,
Who are these people? Who are these people?
That was very Tripoli. Oh, no, they're out. What do you mean, who are these people? They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. I know
um,
exactly what she's saying, man.
Oh, my God.
They said, they do that shit all the time.
Shame on you for being successful.
We're gonna ultimately, not just us, but everybody, and you, Ange, everybody's gonna have to ease into it. We're gonna have to see what are what the laws are, what venues have to offer. A lot of venues are going under. A lot of venues.
That's the other problem. Thank you, and I was going to get to that, Dena. The other problem we're having. Forget the artists and promote the venues. The Troubadour. There's the whiskey. There's a lot of iconic venues in LA and in New York and Boston and in Toronto that they can't sustain. And that's not good for the business, because these are places, you don't want to turn them into like a shopping mall. And that's the other thing. The longer this thing goes on, some of these iconic venues aren't going to be available. So that's relevant to what you're saying.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. When the pandemic hit, that week we had a show. It was at the iconic Ace of Spades in Sacramento. Places Snoop Dogg had played two weeks before, go figure, with Salik, and we were taking Salikis there. And we had to make a decision. We literally, once the NBA canceled on that Thursday, I'm like, even though we could have, we were within our parameters to do it. But, we listened to the doctors. We listened to what we felt was the right and responsible thing to do. We ended up canceling the show. And everybody, got their money back. Everybody was very disappointed. Saliki was very disappointed. But Stotzak, he had to leave and go to Greece, or else he wouldn't be able to leave. So everything worked out kind of okay. Well, right now, here you have the iconic Ace of Spades. It's been around for forever. Their Instagram is saying they're struggling. They're doing GoFundMes, whereas this place was hopping 4 to 5 nights a week, and because it's one of the few that are in Sacramento. The Troubadour, the whiskey, what was that other one on Hollywood?
There's the whiskey, the Troubadour, the Roxbury, the Roxy.
The Roxy.
They're in trouble. They're all in trouble.
I wish I had money to go buy one. Like, GoFundMe. Let's go a PMP venue.
Do Connecting Greeks, GoFundMe, buy real estate. I think I'm down for that.
Let's do it.
Big investment. But Dena, but Dena, even in Greece, I've been talking to some people there. And, the Greeks were ahead of the curve when it came to the pandemic. Greece and Israel were. And then now they opened it up. And now, last I heard, the Thessaloniki and Athens and Patara were shut down again.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure even for them, it's got to be hard, like everybody. Because look, we want to go to shows.
We want to
People
work.
are fed up now. We want to go to Greece. We want to go to shows. We want to do all.
Well, here's the thing: is you have the artists. A lot of them financially, they've done well for themselves. Let's be, and they have their songs playing on the radio. They get, I don't know, whatever royalty they get. I don't know. But the ones who I really, really, my heart breaks, and because we have become close to a lot of them, the musicians are struggling.
Right.
Because if the artist can't work, those are the people who I feel bad for. I feel bad for the girl who works the buzukia, that cleans the camarini, because there's no camarini. I feel bad for the flower girl. I feel bad for the bartender. I feel bad for the guy who makes ice, because they are dependent on nightlife. People think, kalitechnis dak, simyachara, ketiegine. But it's not just the kalitechni. It is a trickle. It trickles down.
Everybody.
Even the poor carnation grower. They're
going to be nowhere there to throw them around.
Exactly. So there's a lot, there's just a lot, man. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you, if you had a wish for one show that you'd want to put together, a collaboration of one show, who would your wish list of? Let's say if you do one super Greek show in LA.
Oh, Greek?
If you get them all, if you could arrange it. I'm just curious, who would it be?
Oh, that's such a hard one. I've worked with the best, as you know, and I wouldn't mind working once again with any one of them. I would be so happy to work with. But
you want mine? I can tell you mine first.
No.
Is that okay?
No.
Okay, I want to hear yours.
Yeah. I'm the girl here.
No, because you're stalling. And I know you don't want to insult anybody, so I know mine right away. But let's hear yours.
You got to
hear yours.
Okay, I would love to see a show that I saw on TV once in Greece with Yannis Parios and Paschalis Terzis together.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, that's. And if he was alive, Mitropanos would have been great.
Yeah, well, maybe we could do what they did with Tupac and bring him in.
Hologram Greek.
Okay, who would you like to see, Ange? I'll make it happen for you.
Make this happen. You know what I want? I want Plutarcho, Remo, Despina Vandi, Anna Visi.
All together?
Yes, man. That's a show. And then they all come out at the end.
That's like a Greek Woodstock right there.
That's summer.
That's a dream.
That's Greekapalooza.
For the Olympics for that.
No, I know, but you know what? They're all superstars. But I like your combination. But I love those four. Is going to be a killer show. I saw VC at when I hosted the Greek America Awards. Who's yours, Forty? Who's yours?
Well, I've going through the years of growing up with my parents having Greek music always in the house, from old school to like modern, because Ari and I have been in the entertainment business for a while in Boston. I'm a big fan of, you just mentioned, Mitropanos, Kazantzidis, one of my favorites growing up was Voskopoulos, Padazis. Like, these are all
we work with Lefteri,
right? Like happy songs. But Ari and I had the unique opportunities in Boston to host entertainers like Eli Kokino, Anavisi,
Remo,
everyone. Everybody mentioned. We've had the pleasure and an honor to work with these individuals.
And that's why we respect what you do, Dena.
Yeah,
we know. We've done it a few times, and it's like,
what's your answer? Yeah, you're running for office? Look at him, what's your answer? I know Voskopoulos. Yes, no. What's the answer?
I didn't say I know him. I said that's what might be my ideal team. Like, I'm building.
But they're dead.
Well, we just talked about people
Except
that
But who's your wish list? If you want to see one show, all them.
Yeah.
The
ultimate Greek jam.
But they're dead.
Well, we have DJs that can play their music.
Okay. I'm sorry. We don't do that.
DJ Cole TV. Whatever. How about you, Adi? Who would you pick?
Well, I met many Greek artists, Angelo.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Here we go.
I know some pretty big artists. No, I honestly, I think if I could, I've seen a lot of people, but if I had a wish list of somebody I could see, I think it would be a tie between Barrio and maybe Kazan. These are people like that take me back.
But he's dead.
I know. He said a wish list.
Yeah, okay. I'm thinking something real.
Listen, I gotta say something. Like,
all right. No, go ahead, Floty. I'm gonna think now.
And Ange, you had the nerve to say I was stalling? At least I came up with live people.
So did I. We both did.
Yeah, see, taxi, Pisto A-Team, the Lakers of Greek entertainment.
When he said wish list, I thought it meant anybody.
Anybody to do a live show. If Dena was to do a live show, what would be your wish list? It's just, it's a podcast.
And I'll say.
I love André Martinez, right?
Who? Amazing. Huge talent.
Love that guy. There's a lot of great artists that are performing today from all different genres.
Agreed.
Right? I mean, now that we have access to watching Greek channels on the web, whether you're your Roku or you're watching it online, there's so much talent that's out there. I said this to Angel, we came across this Instagrammer from Greece who can basically mimic.
I saw that guy. I saw him. He's hilarious. He's great.
Artists within a second, he can change their voice and sound.
Can he do a show?
Like them.
Will people pay? Will people pay to watch that?
He does. Dena, have you seen this guy? He does.
Yes.
A whole bunch. I saw it online. I think Nico sent it to me from Chicago.
Amazing.
And I thought at first he was mimicking the voice, but it's actually him singing.
Yeah.
So kudos to that guy.
Actually, who we haven't mentioned is Hadziani.
We just did Hadziani.
That's, to me, like, I think he's an amazing performer.
I've seen him, I think, with Dalada. I like that.
Oh, Dalada. There's another individual that I think is iconic, legendary.
Well, you know what they're doing right now, too? Some of them, Ana BC had just done it was a pay-per-view event, which was amazing. It was 4 hours long, and I think I paid like €10, tipota. So shameless plug for my friends right now, for Nikos Makropoulos and Vasilis Karas. They're doing one as well on January 30th. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be, and they have really, really good talent. They have,
That's okay.
I can't remember the flyer right now, but Matheos Sachoudidis is on there. Yannis Kapsalis and Nikos Zoidakis. It's going to be a great show. 4 hours. They're going to be like almost 4 hours for like €10.
That's awesome.
It's their way. It's their way of helping out their musicians. It's their way of staying relevant. It's their way of keeping us entertained. Sure. It's on viva.gr, and so shameless plug. As Angelo knows, I support my family and my friends because they support me. I'm wearing my Definitely Greek.
I was just going to ask you, tell us about the shirt.
I like that.
So Thanasi Papoulias is my cousin, and he owns this brand, Definitely Greek, and he had this hoodie of Kolokotroni, and I'm from Tripoli, as is Thanasi. And I'm like, dude, come on now, this is the year of the woman. What happened to Bubulina? So sure enough, he created Bubulina, which I'm wearing today.
Nice.
To do a shout out for Thanasi. And it's definitelygreeks.com, and he's giving a discount to all Connecting Greeks viewers with the code Connecting Greeks till Friday.
Awesome.
So definitelygreeks.com.
We'll put that in the links when we post the show. That'll be
excellent.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And if he's down, we'll talk about this after. But if he's down, we may have another platform with a huge Greek audience that maybe we could get his products on there. But
that'd be awesome.
We'll talk about it after.
Okay. I do. I've been very blessed, supported by so many people. People have embraced our little company throughout the world. We had Saki calling in from Korea.
Okay.
Saki is a customer of mine that came to my show in Vegas with his family from Panama. And,
wow.
They came from Panama, and then he's come to my shows in LA. huge Greek population in Panama.
Yeah.
And they've been supporting us. We've had the reach of the love of the Greek entertainment. We've had people from Africa, from England, from Canada, from
Germany, I think you
Germany.
said.
We've had from Panama, Australia. We even had from Taiwan. They came to see Hatzigani.
Wow, that's cool. Hey, Chewy. What's
I
up,
was
bud?
driving. That's why you couldn't hear me earlier.
So we've been very, very blessed. Like I said, we are a family-run business. We try to use our Greek vendors as much as possible. Like our ticketing, our merch comes from George Bagelatos in Chicago. Some of our, just whatever we can, we try to support our fellow Greeks, especially Tora with pandemic, and a lot of people aren't working. Whatever we can do, we do.
Now, Dena, we've come. An hour's gone by real fast, and this was a great podcast having you. So happy.
Thank you for having us
today. And before we do this thing with Forty where we ask you some questions.
Okay.
With every guest. But when people want to get a hold of you or Power Muse Productions, what's your handle, media, and website?
PowerMuseProductions.com. Power Muse Productions on Facebook, Power.Muse on Instagram, Power Muse on Twitter.
So they're going to search Power Muse. They're going to find you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're going to link to it as well, so they don't have to technically remember. But if they search Power Muse, I'm sure you're going to be the person popping up.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Fotios.
Dena, this has been an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. Enjoyed listening to your story. I think we all have a lot of things in common. Even though we're on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast.
We're on the West Coast.
Growing up as a Greek American, can you tell us your favorite and least favorite?
Oh, my favorite food. Okay, my absolute favorite food is macaronia mekima.
Nice.
Good choice.
My absolute worst food is sikotaki and kokoretsi.
Whoa. Oh, I can see that, but okay. Guys, any?
I agree.
What?
I mean, I'll eat
cook.
it. I very rarely.
Too, by the way,
you cook?
I do cook. I with COVID, a friend of mine has this cookbook, Christina Kalopas's a little latte with my Greek soul, and I actually busted out a lot of her recipes. I made iliopsomo. My mom's like, I never made that. I'm like, I know what I did.
And then moving forward, you mentioned about your mom. And, we all have those moments where our parents say things to us that really make us think. Any memorable sayings that your mom would say to you growing up? Any Greek sayings that still stick with you and resonate?
She's going to kill me for this, but and I'm sure my brother is going to record it and send it to her. She would say, "Kakomira mumime rezilepsis asuvalo mia trija."
Oh, I like your mom.
My mom's a badass. She's like,
that's gangster.
Do you understand what that means? One at a time.
She says
the most torturous way she could do it.
She goes, if you disgrace, you poor lost soul. If you ever disgrace me, I'm going to remove your hair one by one.
I love that.
And then that was my mom.
Wow.
And my dad. My dad passed away a few years ago. He said something to me which has really resonated during this pandemic. He says, "Esena desefovame iserigatikiata da vali sola pera." And I have a very strong work ethic, and I have a lot of faith in myself and my surroundings and the people around me. This pandemic has been hard because it's not just Power Muse that has suffered. As Angelo knows, I also own a restaurant, and we were completely shut down and all that. So
that's like a double whammy.
It you know what though, but it's okay. We're healthy. We learned how to depend on each other. My son works at our family. He's learning to be more responsible. He's pulling his own weight. It's okay. We learned a lot. And I attribute that to my dad, to my family's very humble roots in Tripoli and very poor beginnings, and them teaching us to be strong. We're going to be okay.
Excellent.
I want to get back to work. I want to have a concert. I want Angelo to open, and so my mom can sit in the front. He could point at her and make her laugh. I mean, I want us to get back to that. I just had a birthday recently, and I had almost 2,000 interactions, and I was like, God, you know what? I'm lucky. I'm alive. Okay, might not be rolling in it right now, but you know what? It's okay.
Yeah, but you know what? You know,
back.
honestly, Dena, I mean, this is life. If you can't roll with the punches, like, what can you do? Like, the fact that you're saying that you're okay, you're healthy, you have good people around you, that says a lot about you. Because if you're just bitching and moaning and saying everything sucks and blah blah blah, like,
I do that.
That's not good for you. That's not good for you. But you have to fight. You have to endure. You have to adapt. You have to like make the best of it. You have to see the silver linings, because if you can't see the silver linings, man, you're screwed in this atmosphere that we're in right now. So hopefully a lot of people.
And let me ask Dena one more last question.
Okay.
So the last question, Dena, as Greeks, I think we live by a lot of superstition. Is there a superstition that you still live by?
Well, I believe, because it's approved by our church. No, I believe in the mati.
Yep.
Okay.
I see your icon over there. The Zoom icon. Your Zoom.
Oh,
icon.
yes. Oh, my goodness. What icon? Yes. I believe in the mati. I believe in rusuzia. I believe in karma.
Of course.
I believe in that. But most importantly, I do believe that, echios, as our parents taught us, and I don't know if that's a Greek thing or just echios, we just got to be positive, roll with the punches. Everything's going to be okay. And when everything's going to be okay, I'm going to throw the biggest and baddest party there. It might,
Well,
Dena, χρειάζομαι τραπέζι μπροστά.
When you throw
you
that
need to
party,
talk to Angelo for that.
call
Angelo.
Angelo.
δύο τραπέζια, κάντο.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to, be on your show. It's funny, Angelo and I connect. We were texting earlier. I connect him to people. He connects people to me. And I think it's great what you guys are doing, especially now that we all can't get together to have a cocktail and just see each other in person and support. What I would like to say to the audience, whoever's watching, if you have an extra 10, 15 bucks, support that Greek artist in Greece, because behind them, there's people behind them that are really, really struggling, because it's not the way it is here in America, where you could get a quick side hustle to do something. And, these musicians and these artists are struggling. And we want them to be healthy. We want them to be happy, because we want them to be well to entertain us. So once again, check out like VivaGR.gr has a lot of productions that they do that are live streaming, not just music. They have theater, they have Polake Diaspora. Angelo is going to be in Vegas. I plugged him earlier with somebody else. So
yeah, thanks. That's right. I'm going March 4 to 7 at the Tropicana Hotel. First gig back in a year.
So can you just briefly tell us, Angelo, how's that going to be? Like, are they making some weird
it's only allowed 50 people at the Laugh Factory. It holds 400.
Oh,
50 people and social distance.
Yeah.
But are you going to be streaming it?
No, I don't think so, because there's rules at the hotel with.
Yeah, so this is
some kind of Vegas,
But that's cool, man. Even 50
So if I show up like this and stream you, is that going to be okay?
You're going to have a guy bigger than Angelo coming again.
Yeah, you haven't seen Chewy. Chewy takes care of it.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about March.
That's awesome, because that's not too far away.
You're
gonna get that vibe, that feeling of being in front of a live audience.
To go back to Dena, it's been so much fun having you on the show.
Thank you, guys.
Ari, take us.
Yeah, we want to say thank you so much, Dena.
Thank you
for everything you do, and we know after listening to you and after seeing a little bit of your history that you're going to endure and you're going to make it through, and you're going to be entertaining a lot of the West Coast, and I don't even know, maybe other places too. I mean, if you ever come to Boston, let's do something together. Why not?
Well, we do have associates there too, so
awesome.
Never know.
And I'm actually in D.C. I hooked up Angelo to sing at Biden's inauguration today. Oh, no. That was Lady Gaga.
No, that
Sorry.
was no.
Sorry, I mistook him.
Effie Thodi was passed up catalatos for Gaga and J-Lo.
Yeah, that's what I heard. But thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate your time, and we appreciate everything you do, and more power to you. And we hope this all blows over, and we get to the point where you could just rock out.
I hope so. Thank you for the warm wishes. I appreciate it. Just everybody stay healthy, happy, and let's just, you know what? Kase mera, kinuria mera, harakse, as my mom would say. So
we'll get through it. Every day we're going to wake up and we're going to be one day closer. And Foti, thank you up in Boston, holding it down with your white wine. Red, my friend. Oh, yes. And Angelo over in L.A., lockdown. But Angelo, come on. You're going to make it through, too. You're going to be in Vegas. You're going to have a good time, I hope. And you're going to get that whole live audience vibe. So it's going to rejuvenate you, I think.
I'm looking forward to it. But,
awesome.
Another fun show, guys. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody, for watching, listening. Podcast video will be out. We're going to link all of Dena's handles, websites, everything to connect to her as well. Thank you, Dena. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. God bless.
Yes.
Bye.
Yeah.